The lead story tonight comes from Russia. Drones are attacking Moscow again. The Kremlin is calling it a terror threat, a terror attack. Today, 2 drones flew into the Russian capital. Their target is said to have been the Russian military. The drones flew towards these structures near the Russian Defense Ministry. One of the buildings was damaged. It's a military university. The damage was not severe. There were no casualties, but the attack is audacious. It led to panic.
I was asleep but woke up because of an explosion. Everything had started to shake. It felt like the whole building had come down. I looked out of the window. I live in the neighboring building on the side where there's less damage. And it felt strange. The damage was so minor. Well, okay, not minor. Any explosion is scary, but it sounded worse than it looked. And it seemed like the whole mall had exploded. After that, I looked online and saw the amount of damage from this side. And we came and had a look from here.
This was an eyewitness account. They say it was scary, and perhaps that was the plan all along. That was the idea, spreading fear among Russians. Moscow says the drones were intercepted and such attacks are becoming too frequent. The first such incident was reported in the month of May. There was a drone attack on the Kremlin. Since then, more drones have flown towards Moscow. And who is the attacker? Well, no side has taken responsibility, but Russia blames Ukraine for what's been happening. Today, the declaration was made on Russian television.
An attack by Ukrainian drones was prevented in Moscow in the early hours of this morning. The Defense Ministry states there were 2 drones. Specialists managed to jam them and the drones crashed without reaching their targets. No one was injured. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin noted the intercepted drones crashed into 2 uninhabited buildings. No major damage.
What did the Kremlin say? Well, a journalist asked Putin's spokesperson. The response was unambiguous. Moscow vowed to keep the fight in Ukraine going. Listen to this.
On the Moscow drone attack, will there be any response from Russia against objects in Ukraine?
The special military operation is continuing. It will go on, and its goals must be achieved.
He's talking about Moscow chasing goals. Is Poland part of those goals? We ask because of the developments this weekend. The Russian president had a visitor, Alexander Lukashenko, the president of Belarus. Lukashenko has been a loyal ally of President Putin. He's hosting Russian nukes. And he has given refuge to Wagner soldiers. This was after an alleged coup attempt by Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. He tried to dismantle Russia's military establishment. The coup failed and a deal was struck. Lukashenko played the mediator. Prigozhin and his soldiers were exiled to Belarus, and as we speak, some 2,500 Wagner fighters are in Belarus. Lukashenko says they're preparing for another fight, and their target this time is Poland. The Belarusian president shared the war plans with the Russian leader.
There is no counteroffensive. What's next?
It exists, but it has failed.
It has failed and there are no results. As you've said very precisely, they've started involving Poland. The Wagner guys have started to stress, allow us to go to the West. I said, why do you want to go to the West? We are silently watching what is going on. Well, we'll go for a sightseeing tour to Warsaw. That's what they said.
Now, this is not the first time that Poland has been mentioned as a potential target. Last week, there was a Security Council meeting in Moscow. Putin went after Poland in that meeting. He said Poland was trying to capture territories in Belarus and that Russia won't shy away from taking action against it.
In 1939, Poland was abandoned by its Western allies, was thrown to the German war machine, and formally lost its independence and statehood, which was restored in large parts thanks to the Soviet Union. It was thanks to the Soviet Union, thanks to steps taken by Stalin, Poland got substantial territories in the West German land. This is a fact. Western Polish territories are Stalin's gift to Poland. Have our friends in Warsaw forgotten about it? We'll give them a reminder.
We'll give them a reminder, he said. What is Putin so angry about? Polish military deployments. In recent days, Warsaw has been deploying 1,000 soldiers. They're being sent to Poland's eastern borders. This move was triggered by a video. The video showed Wagner troops training Belarusian soldiers. And where do you think that was happening? Near the Polish border. Now, when this video came out, Warsaw began bolstering its defenses and Putin does not like it. So he's making threats. But is he serious about going after Poland? It's hard to say. Remember, in the past, Russia issued similar threats against Ukraine. They blew hot and cold for years and then they decided to declare war. Having said that, Poland is not Ukraine. It is a NATO member. And if Russia strikes Poland, it will declare a direct war on NATO. So a direct attack on Poland can be ruled out, at least for now. But using Wagner soldiers cannot be ruled out. They're no longer being seen as an extended arm of the Russian state. Moscow says it has snapped ties with this group. So will a Wagner attack on Poland give Putin plausible deniability? And more importantly, can and will Putin trust Wagner and Prigozhin again to do this? Honestly, we don't have the answers. But when it comes to Putin, expect the unexpected, which is what Kiev is doing. They're not taking chances and they're going all out. Over the weekend, a cathedral in Odessa was struck. 2 people were killed. The entire structure was damaged. Zelensky has vowed retaliation, but his counter-offensive is not going well. Progress has been slow and gains have been few and far between. Ukraine blames its Western partners for the way things are going. Zelensky says the West did not give them the right amount of munitions and the training needed for this counter-offensive. So the pace of Ukraine's military action has been slow. And now Russia is threatening to hit back. Can Moscow strike a decisive blow? We say it's best to wait and watch.